Hi, and a huge welcome to Steve's Kitchen. We are here in Italy, actually in Sicily to be precise, and we've had a great Christmas. I ate lots of panettone over Christmas. They are delicious. We even baked one or two, and I haven't had chance to make the video, but I can tell you now, a good panettone takes time to make. So what I wanted to do was share back to my Italian friends here a fusion, something that comes from my side of cooking, which still has all the flavors of panettone. And I hope you like it. You've already seen from the title, it's called a PaneScone, and it's got all the goodness of an English scone with all the flavors and essences of a good Italian panettone. But on a plus side, you can make these in 30 minutes from start to finish. Now, just for fun, I've made these little baking paper collars, so we're going to have the panettone look to them. You don't have to make these, but I want to encourage my scones just to rise up rather than spread out. To make the papers, you want a 11 or 12 inch piece of baking paper. It's around about 4 inches, just a little bit over 4 inches, and I fold that in half, and we're just going to tuck that in and pull it into a collar. And the size will very much depend on the cutter you're using. We're using a glass today, so I've measured it roughly the diameter of the glass. And very close to the seam, we're just going to staple these closed, top and bottom, so we've got a nice little collar. And this is optional, of course. You're still going to get that lovely panettone flavor, even if you don't have the collars. If you're wondering what's cooking in the background here, lots going on in the kitchen. Heinz style baked beans going on here, and we've also got a series, a bread baking series that we're filming, so look out for that on the channel later on. I've got myself 450 grams, that's about a pound of all-purpose flour, or 00 flour in this case. Get that into our mixing bowl. Now I'm going to add a couple of teaspoons of baking powder in with that, and about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I've quickly just weighed out 150 grams, that's 5 ounces of butter. Now this butter is a little bit soft, which is perfect. And I'm just going to cut it up and pop it in with my flour. There is about 20% more butter than I would normally use for my scones, but I want that buttery flavor you get with a panettone. The next thing we're going to do is just lift the butter, rubbing the butter and the flour together. So you can see after just a minute or so, we've got this lovely breadcrumb consistency. Now you could do this in a food processor, but be careful. You don't want to overwork it, otherwise you'll end up with a tough dough. Time to PaneScone this up a little bit. We've got 1 lemon and 1 orange. I'm just going to use the zest of these. A beautiful Sicilian lemon. And I want to get all of the zest off of this, and also the zest off of 1 orange. Now the zest has all those beautiful aromatic oils in there, so we're not getting any of the bitterness, just all the flavor. Now I'm using my homemade candied peel. I've got 120 grams, that's 4 ounces. Add that to my mix. 120 grams, that's 4 ounces of sultanas. And 120 grams, that's 4 ounces of granulated sugar. Now we'll just give this a nice thorough mix through. And we need to bind this mixture together. So I'm using full cream milk. I've got about a cup of milk. Pop that in there. I'm just going to use a fork to start to pull this together. And then I'm going to take my hands in there. And this should be quite a dry mixture. So I've pulled that together, and we've still got a nice loose dough like that. But what we're going to do is move this now onto my counter. Now I want a little bit of flour on the counter. We don't need a rolling pin for this, by the way. All we're going to do is shape our dough out, and we're going for a thicker than normal scone. So I'm looking for something that's about almost 1.5 inches in height. Now I haven't got my cutters with me, so I'm using the bottom of a glass. And to cut my scones, I just want to dip the glass into some flour, and then I bring it over to my dough, and we're just going to cut this through. And the flour will let the little scone come out like that. Now I'm going to pop one of my panettone papers on there. I'm going to take my little scone and just drop it in the center of the paper like that. Now hopefully when that bakes, it'll rise a little bit and it'll form itself around the paper. I'm going to cut out 6 of these. Got another little paper there, and I'm just going to drop the scone into the center, give it a little shake up. Now we made 9 PaneScone here. I've preheated my oven. It's a fairly hot oven, 200 degrees Celsius, that's 400 Fahrenheit. And we're gonna bake these for about 15 minutes. Might be a tiny little bit longer. We don't want them to go too dark, but we do want them to cook all the way through. Now look at those They smell delicious, just like panettone. They've come very near to the top, so I could have probably made the collars a little bit smaller. What I need to do now though is let these completely cool down before we serve them. Now I've started to unwrap some of these. Come in a little closer and just take a look at these. Look how gorgeous that little PaneScone looks. Now I'm just going to dust them over in a little powdered sugar. Now I've got this little runt one at the back here, but I still think he looks fantastic. I'm just going to take the collar off of that. There's my little PaneScone. The smell coming from these is just absolutely delicious. It reminds me so much of the panettone we had over the Christmas period. Now, like any good scone, these should be light and crumbly. You should be just able to pull them apart like this, and inside you'll have a lovely crumb. And the smell, the citrusy smell in there is delightful. I'm going to give this a try. I want you to try these at home and comment down below. Let me know what you think. As they should be, it's still just a little bit warm and it's so delicious. Break these open, a little bit of fresh butter, maybe some cream, some nice marmalade or jam. I hope Italy will forgive me for playing with their traditional recipes. These are really good though. Unlike panettone though, these just take 30 minutes from start to finish, so you can serve them to your guests at short notice. If you decide to make them, let me know what you think. Share some pictures across at social media, share the love, give this video the thumbs up, and I will see you very shortly. Take care.